word says in 1 Samuel chapter 30, it says, "Now it happened when David and his men came to Ziklag on the third day that the Amalekites had invaded the south and Ziklag, attacked Ziklag, and burned it with fire." And let me just say this, that it's one thing for them to attack it, but it's another thing for them to burn it. Because burning, and whenever people go to burning stuff, they're trying to wipe out any idea of existence that has ever been. That's why sometimes you need to burn up some stuff. Don't let it lay around. You need to go on and put a match to it. Okay. And verse 2, "And had taken captive the women and those who were there, from small to great. They did not kill anyone, but carried them away and went their way. So David and his men came to the city, and there it was, burned with fire, and their wives, their sons, and their daughters had been taken captive. Then David and the people who were with him lifted up their voices and wept until they had no more power to weep. And David's two wives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess and Abigail, the widow of Nabal the Carmelite, had been taken captive. Now David was greatly distressed, for the people spoke of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and his daughters. But David strengthened himself in the Lord his God." Ask your neighbor, who is your God? Then David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, "Please bring the ephod here to me." And Abiathar brought the ephod to David. So David inquired of the Lord, saying, "Shall I pursue this troop? Shall I overtake them?" And he answered him, "Pursue, for you shall surely overtake them, and without fail recover all." So David went, he and the 600 men who were with him, and came to the brook Bezor, where those stayed who were left behind. But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 stayed behind, who were so weary that they could not cross the brook Bezor. And I want to preach for as long as the Lord will let me this morning from this thought: you better do it yourself. You better do it yourself. Because you got to understand, sometimes it's not the devil that takes stuff from you. And I know we like to lie on the devil. We like to blame everything on the devil. Everybody. I mean, not you, maybe not you, but just the person sitting next to you or behind you. You blame some stuff on the devil that wasn't the devil's fault. But David comes to this point in his life where he understands that after all he had done in effort to better himself and those who were with him, and now they want to talk about stoning him. Oh, don't worry. Oh, I'm coming for you. As long as they were doing well, long as they had food. Well, see, I don't care who you are. Apostle, bishop, whatever the new name they're going to call you. I don't care what your tag or title is. Folk will turn on you. I'm going to let that sink in just a little bit. See, that folk will turn on you. Well, maybe should I say it in another way? Because see, y'all don't seem to get this. Because maybe you ain't had nobody turn on you. But can I tell you something? There comes a time when all of us have a dose of reality and folk that we thought was with us. Oh, I don't need y'all right now. Oh, no, I can sing. I've been through the storm and the rain right now. Because you see, sometimes God has to show you that it wasn't the people that were with you that made you, but it was he who was holding you up. I feel it here. Watch this now. It's a hard pill to swallow when your own folk turn on you. You ain't got it. I'm on automatic pilot right now. You have to understand it's hard to swallow when your own folk turn on you. And that's what. Don't get it twisted. Get it twisted. It doesn't take long for things to go sour on the best of us. As the text says, it says, so David and his men, they came home and they found all of their stuff gone. The Bible says that they cried together. Look at verse 4. It says, then David and the people who were with him. He wasn't somewhere distant from them. He was right there with them. It says they all wept till they didn't have strength. But watch what happens. He lost his wives like they lost theirs. He lost his stuff like they lost theirs. But then when you get to verse 6, he was greatly distressed, for the people spoke of stoning him. And here's the first thing you need to remember. Remember to cultivate your own ministry of encouragement. If you don't get another point I give you, remember to cultivate your own ministry of encouragement. Why? Because there comes a time when other folk will not be able to minister to you. That's why you better have your own ministry of encouragement. You better do it yourself. Number 2, after you remember to cultivate your own ministry of encouragement, you got to recognize you cannot make it without God. Hey, neighbor, you can't make it without God. No matter what happened, and this is where I like David, Sonia. See, no matter what happened in David's life, David always knew how to get back on track. Now, see, the reason most of you can't shout right there is because you forget you ex somebody. I'm not condoning any of what David did with Bathsheba, but can y'all remember anything other? Because you got to remember, David was the apple of God's eye. Even though he knew what he would do, he did not throw David on the ash pile of life. And that's why, I know why y'all can't really make a lot of noise. Because see, y'all have thrown some people away, and now you got to go back and get them. See, that's why you got to understand, you got to be careful how you treat people when they're not at the top. Because ain't it amazing how some of the same stuff we kill other folk for has a way. Hey, remember me? But David knew where to go. He knew what to do in spite of his mess-ups. David knew how to get it right. I'm going to be done preaching in just a minute, but look at what he says. Even though they were talking about stoning him, look at what the text says. They talking about stoning him in verse 6, right? But in the same verse, David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. Have I been preaching too long? I think I have. But understand this. Sometimes you got to have the ability to change the people you talk to. Oh yeah, you better change the people. Because listen, if you keep talking to Ray Ray, you're going to get Ray Ray's spirit. Let me preach to y'all over here. If you keep on having fellowship and talking with so-and-so, I think some minister said to us on Tuesday, the spirit you entertain the most, it will overtake you. So look at what David does. David, he changes his conversation part. He stops letting them talk to him, and he starts talking to God. Because, beloved, watch, he changes who he talks to. But not only that, he changes what he's wearing. I'm in verse 7. Then David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, please bring me the ephod. See, the ephod was an official garment. You didn't just go put on the ephod. That's like you don't wear your Sunday clothes to the playground. Because when you go to the playground, you playing. But whenever you're going to do some official showing up bid, don't show up downtown with no jeans on. And I'm preaching to my young people now. Listen, I don't care how chic it is for you to be cool. Listen, at some point, you need to have you some dress clothes on. Don't y'all hate on me now. Come on, just go with me. See, every now and then you ought to put some slacks on with some hard shoes. Take them tennis shoes off. Why? Because you don't want nobody to treat you like a tennis shoe wearing man or a tennis shoe wearing woman. You need to pick up yourself. Fix yourself up. Buy you some MAC makeup or something. Get your hair done. Go pay for it. Get your nails done. Matter of fact, and I ain't talking to women, I'm talking to you brothers. Don't nobody want no rusty, crusty feet on them all the time. Go on and get you a pedicure. You ain't soft because you got your manicure and your pedicure. Matter of fact, don't nobody want no cover grabbing feet. Can I preach? Can I preach? He might have to edit this out, but I hope not. You see, sometimes you got to fix up yourself. Change what you've been wearing. And sometimes when you've been depressed and you've been discouraged and you've been distressed, you wear the garment of depression. Tell your neighbor, change your clothes. Stop being down all the time. Why is it we always got to encourage you? Why you always depressed? Why you always discouraged? Matter of fact, that's why folk don't bother you. Because they know where you are. You in the same rut you were in 2 years ago. Now, if you've been in the same rut for longer than 2 years, matter of fact, 20 days is too long. You need to get you some help. All right. Don't edit this out. Listen, I believe that 99.9% of people need to have some show enough real help. You can put this on TV. I'm one of them. Because I'm a piece of work. Oh, you ain't got to look for validation. I'm going to tell you myself. I'm a piece of work. I know. And that's why before they have to take me somewhere, I'm going to go myself. Text says, and David inquired of the Lord. So he changed his conversation. He changed his clothes. But let me say this. All of the crying won't cancel your crying. You can cry all day long. And after you finish crying, you got to do something. This is what I like about him, and this is my last point. He was weeping. He changed his conversation, changed his clothes. Michael Jackson used to say, the king of pop. It's time to make that change. And I'm not an advocate of Michael Jackson theology, but I understand this. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself and tell yourself it's time to make that change. I've gone about as high as I'm probably going to go today. But understand this. He says it's time to make a change. I got to stop crying and I got to do something. And see, the problem with many of us is we'll get a new wardrobe, but you won't get a new you.